Good afternoon, everyone from across the East African region. My name is Angela Munga Madumbo. I take this opportunity to welcome you to this webinar in our East Africa Law Society Women in Law series. I am the chair of the East African Law Society Women Lawyers Committee. I will be your host today, together with my co-host, who is a member of our committee. Her name is Hadija Nansubuga. I practice in Nairobi, and my co-host is in Uganda. Our topic today is getting on the radar. Effective career advancement strategies for women during this time of COVID-19. Now, before we start, some few housekeeping rules. If you have a question, we request you to post it on the question and answer tab. And we want this session to be as interactive as possible. So you can post your comments, reactions, and observations on the chat section. And we are very welcome to this webinar. So far, we have a good number. So regarding today's topic, we all know that career and professional development has taken a backseat due to the very many demands and emergencies that are facing organizations in this pandemic. And this is understandable in light of the millions of layoffs and furloughs that have been done in the region, since companies are focusing on remaining relevant in business and meeting the payroll. However, businesses have also had to adopt a new way of doing business given the reduced interpersonal interactions on account of restrictions stemming from the need to contain the COVID-19 virus. As a result, statistics have shown that women have sustained the highest percentage of job losses due to the COVID-19 pandemic, in part because they were in large numbers in occupations that were hard hit during the pandemic, such as the service and creative industry, in sales and manufacturing, and also due to growing responsibilities of unpaid work at home, including the newly added responsibility of homeschooling children. This current crisis threatens to roll back the gains that have been made by women in the formal sector. And evidence is mounting that women are significantly at increased risk of dropping out of the workforce due to increased duties at home. And there's a real danger that the gender gap in the workforce is likely to grow. So that said, we need to be keen in restocking the career and professional development conversations, since this is critical in view of the fact that there is no end in sight to the pandemic. And workplace relations have forever been changed given the new normal of virtual interactions. This is the justification for today's webinar. And today we have a variety of speakers who have been drawn from various sectors. We have speakers from HR, from the legal profession, from research and policy development, and also from the human rights perspective. We are optimistic that at the end of it all, we are going to have gained effective career advancement strategies that are appropriate during this pandemic. So our keynote speaker will be our first speaker for today. Our keynote speaker is Ms. Sayo Tabitha Griffith from Kenya. She holds a Bachelor of Laws degree from the Moi University in Kenya, a postgraduate diploma in law. She has a master's in law from the University of Pretoria, and she's currently pursuing her PhD at the Cardiff University. and is a fellow of the Aspen New Voices 2019. Our keynote speaker has won several awards, topmost being the Kenya Pro Bono Jurist of the Year, which she won in 2019. Ms. Saoyo is an astute legal and policy expert on health and human rights. She's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with over 10 years experience navigating the policy, human rights, health and governance spaces in East Africa. Professionally, Ms. Saoyo has worked in private practice and served at the Federation of Women Lawyers Kenya, this is FIDA Kenya, and has consulted for UNDP in contextualizing HIV and the linkages to sexual and gender-based violence. Until 2020, she was the Deputy Director and Head of Programs at KELIN. This is a Kenyan NGO working on health-related rights. She currently manages the Strategic Issues and Research Council. This is an East African outfit working to promote women's reproductive health. She also chairs the Malkia Initiative. Malkia means queen in Swahili. This is a Kajiado-based organization promoting girls' education, and she's also a member of the Emergency Medical Kenya Foundation, which promotes effective and immediate access to healthcare. In her spare time, she enjoys teaching and has been a visiting lecturer at the Strathmore Law School and Center for Human Rights in South Africa. Given that she's pursuing a PhD and she's also a teacher or a lecturer, she will address this topic, but focusing on our young and entry-level advocates, and she will give mentorship tips for our young and entry-level advocates on starting on the right note by putting themselves on the radar. Over to you, Ms. Saoyo.
Thank you so much, Angela. I am just going to ask the team to bear with me. I realized very quickly that when Angela was speaking, there was a lot of buffering. So I want to switch my internet to a backup. So as we do this, I'll also be, let me just switch my internet and also share my screen. Please, somebody, including Annabelle, can stop me if I buffer or if I'm disconnected. But could somebody just give me a thumbs up? And these are the things that we're going to talk about when we start discussing how do you put yourself on the radar as a young lawyer. Angie, could you please give me a heads up if you can hear me and if you can see my screen?
We can hear you loud and clear, and we can see your screen.
Angela, could you please give me a heads up if you can see my screen and if you can now hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your screen.
Perfect. Sorry for that. I just wanted to switch internet to a more reliable internet because I realized that there was quite buffering. So I am hoping that out of the 42 participants that we have here, many of you are from the East Africa region. So I should say good afternoon to everyone, but I will also be very aware that some of the people who are in this might not be from the region and might be joining from different time zones. So let me just do a broad good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever in this globe that you're joining us. It's an absolute pleasure for me to be speaking and for the East Africa Law Society, particularly the Women's Committee, to have invited me to give a few words. I retitled my presentation to Positioning Yourself for Success. And instead of giving concrete advice, mine is more of suggestions, opinion, and experimental advice.
Tabitha Griffith. That's the presentation.
Proceed, Tabitha, while we figure out who is causing the interference.
Yes, I could also hear somebody. So that's why I
Yeah.
was wondering, have I
Yes.
lost
No,
somebody?
no.
All right.
No. Just
Okay.
proceed.
Please stop me at any point if for any reason I lose you or the internet becomes shaky. It would be a shame for us not to communicate. For that. So as I said, I did this more of suggestions, opinion, and experimental advice because I think that even as Angie reads my bio, I am also equally a work in progress. All right. Angie, are we together?
Yes, we are together. I will stop you should
Okay,
there
all right.
be
Your
any issue.
your face is the only thing I'm seeing on my screen. So when you do make a squinting eye, it then gives me the only outer cue that I need that something is not right. So you'll probably have to bear with me. So
Okay.
just like when Angela started, one of the things that she indicated was, and this is going to sound repetitive to the team, is that 2020 to 2021 can be deemed to be a dark era. And it was a dark era because of the fact that in such a time of a global pandemic, there was not just a crisis that was global, but there was also what you'd call a shadow pandemic. And for those of you who have read the reports by UNAIDS, UNDP, as well as UN Women, one of the best things that they have probably summed up in how the COVID pandemic has affected women is to indicate that the impact of any crisis, be it HIV, be it Ebola, be it what we're currently facing, which is COVID, is never gender neutral. And COVID has proven to us that it's no exception. And as we all acknowledge that it's one of the most difficult times in global history, one of the things that we constantly were aware of is that the pandemic required much more from women. And I think I need not reemphasize this because as Angela already stated it, we saw a lot in terms of what the pandemic and continues to demand from women in terms of if we're gonna wash hands, it's the women who have to go and fetch that water. If we are going to have a pandemic that is affecting medically more men than women, it's the women who are the caregivers in most of these instances when it comes to taking care of the men. UN Women, in fact, reported that when the pandemic hit, we had at least 70% of the workforce in the health sector, as well as the social sector, being hit the hardest. And those are the women. Again, we also need not be re-emphasized to us that the majority of the women who work in the informal settlements and the informal economy, where health insurance is non-existent, and there's no guarantee that even if you get admitted to hospital, that the national hospital fund that you have is going to support you. Most of these are difficult moments for women. More than 60% of women who relied on the hospitality industry lost their jobs. And these are people who relied both on the visible direct employment that is in the hospitality industry, as well as the indirect support. So we're talking about people in the direct line, as well as those who were at the back. Many of us, when schools closed down, we began either homeschooling our children or, again, supervising online classes. So we became not only, and I include myself in this because I say that I am now a certified curriculum tester. We began homeschooling our children, taking care of them, taking care of the men in our households that had COVID. But at the same time, we were expected to continue doing what our 8 to 5, if you were in an 8 to 5, was doing. At the same time, governments started diverting resources from women's needs including maternity, including contraception. And this was so that they could cater for things like oxygen, PPEs, ICU beds, etc. One of the things that if you read the reports by UNAIDS and UN Women, they indicate is that in most crises, countries such as South Africa, Iraq, Kenya were given as examples where governments actually diverted resources from women's needs and started pumping those resources to address COVID. So for instance, in countries such as Iraq and South Africa, maternity wards were converted to become what you'd call the pre-COVID and post-COVID hosting centers for many of the countries. And we also saw issues such as government directives, including curfews. We also saw issues to do with direct government directives affecting women directly. From where I work, because I work in the health sector, I am a lawyer who works directly with the health sector. We also saw things that depressed us further, even when there was an advancement in terms of vaccines. We know for sure that with at least the 4 vaccines that are readily available, that is Johnson & Johnson's, Moderna, Pfizer, and AstraZeneca, only AstraZeneca has indicated, together with Johnson & Johnson's, that they would not benefit directly and that they would do a non-profit. But even when we had access to vaccines, even in 2021, when we have seen an effort for things to be better, the truth remains that in Kenya, for instance, and I've given this example just to show you, vaccines remain not just as a gap in equality, but also we are seeing that the rate within which the males and the females are being vaccinated still remains unequal. And one of the arguments that has been made is, why is it that women are not getting vaccinated? Is it vaccine hesitancy? No. Someone may be asking, the topic that I was to discuss today was on giving tips to younger lawyers in terms of how to succeed and how to put themselves effectively within the radar. What has this all got to do with the topic, right? Bear with me, because at some point it will start to make sense. But what I wanted first of all to do is just paint a picture for all of you to be able to understand that we live in a world that is very unfair and very unequal. That even when UN Women demonstrate that we have 70% of the health workforce being women, the sad reality is that in terms of the percentage of decision makers, is that we still have 25% only of women being legislators and 6% of them being decision makers. And these all will come into a nice big ball in terms of where you are when you start your career and how effectively do you move up the ladder when there's certain anchors that are tied to your feet in terms of who is making decisions at the top, how will you get to the boards, how are you going to get into that partnership, and how are you going to sit at the helm when you've got this baggage that is constantly pulling you down. But at the end of it all, again, some of the things that we saw during this COVID pandemic and we continue to see is that professionally, life, as it were, also equally changed. As many of us and those who have been privileged to see or attend any of the Stanford leading from home short courses, one of the things that every leader, every employer started asking is, how do I still get my team members to
Tabitha, we have lost your audio. Tabitha, I don't know whether you can hear me. We have lost your audio. Hello, Tabitha, I don't know whether you can hear me. Can anybody else hear me? We have lost your audio.
Angela, I can hear you.
Yes, yes.
I can hear you as well, Angela.
Okay. I think maybe she's experiencing a bit of an issue. Yes, Tabitha, you're back now. We had lost you at the point.
Sorry about that. That's the internet that I was talking about.
Yes, we lost you at the point where you were saying about Stanford short home courses. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now. We just need to see your screen. We are yet to see your screen. Maybe you
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Now we can see you. We want to hear you now. Tabitha, you seem to have frozen again. Okay, I think we shall pause our presentation for now.
The internet has decided to embarrass me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear you. Maybe just proceed without video and sharing your screen, because we had really gotten momentum. I'm really waiting to hear what the short courses were saying about employers needing to still get their team together. That is the point where we lost you.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the chat section, and there's confirmation from our panel, from our participants that they can hear you. So now proceed. Oh. Mm-hmm. Maybe as she's sorting out, we have noted where at what point she dropped off, so she will pick up from there. Despite, we'll go a bit off protocol and just move to the next speaker as Tabitha sorts out her presentation. Now, our next speaker is Miss Diana Kato, all the way from Kampala in Uganda. And she's in the field of policy and research. So the question that begs is whether there's empirical data on the challenges that women face in career advancement and how to overcome them. So Diana graduated from the University of Makerere with a master's degree in business administration, and she also has an MSc in economic policy and development. She has about 10 years working experience as a management and development consultant. She has been engaged in various consultancy assignments with some of the best local and international consultancy firms. She has great insights in working with complex systems of government, non-governmental organizations, and other private sector-led institutions within the Eastern and Sub-Saharan African region in areas of strategic management, policy analysis, project management, business process analysis, M&E, this is monitoring and evaluation, HR management, organizational and institutional development, training and capacity building. She has served as a team leader and a team member on various assignments for a variety of clients, including the World Bank, European Union, the African Development Bank, and various governments, ministries, departments, and agencies in Uganda, Sudan, both North and South, Rwanda, Ghana, Malawi, Ethiopia, Lesotho, and South Africa. Like I had said, Diana is based in Kampala. So over to you, Diana. Let us hear on whether there's any empirical data or challenges that women face in career advancement.
Thank you very much, Angela. And it is a pleasure for me to be here today. Just like house rules are, you let me know just in case you can't hear me. I'm really privileged and happy to be part of this panel and to be able to present to you some of the empirical data on challenges that women face in career advancement and strategies to overcome them. Now, the first question that I always want to ask myself before going ahead and making a presentation about career advancement. First of all, what is career advancement? We all know that it's a progressive way of growing through different stages of life and through your work life. And through the different stages that I'm yet to show you or that I'm yet to demonstrate, each and every one of these has its own challenges and different requirements for growth or advancement through the career cycle. What is then required of us through that whole entire process? And the flow of this presentation is going to limit ourselves to career planning ultimately, as well as career management through a COVID-19 pandemic hit era. Now, the very first thing that I need for us to understand or for us to be able to see the 6 stages of modern career advancement. Where do we start and where do we end? In the first stage, as you see on your screen, is growth, awareness, and assessment. And as mentioned earlier, each of the stages that we see here has its own challenges as well as characteristics. Now, the first stage, which we see here, which is growth, awareness, and assessment, is full of unawareness. We look at people ages 4 to 10, 11 to 12, 13 to 14, still figuring themselves out, trying to find themselves, or it's more or less a self-discovery stage. We're looking at them trying to assess or find out their value systems, their strengths, their weaknesses, trying to assess themselves. The next stage, which is investigation and exploration, is full of self-discovery research. Some people tend to be a bit confused during this stage. What do I want to do and what do I want to pursue in terms of my career? Others are unaware about their career options and others are overwhelmed by choice during this stage. For lawyers, some of you might ask yourself, do I want to go into human rights? Do I want to go into legal practice? Do I want to go into any other field as of that? So in that stage where people are trying to investigate or explore what they want or what their career options should be, is stage number 2, which is tentatively it starts to happen between 15 to the early 20s. The third stage, which is the preparation or establishment phase, has a lot of trial, stabilization, and advancement. In this stage, a lot of us are pretty excited, unlike the time when you came out of college and straight into your work environment. Some of us are excited in this stage, but you're still getting ready. Some of us are still building competencies, and you have a fair certainty of where your career is supposed to be. We assume that in that time, you spend at least about 8 years into your whole entire career life at that point, because we're looking at ages between 20, 25, and 45. It could happen anywhere in that, between those ages. So the fourth stage, which is commitment or placement, is a level where we have a lot of confidence. Your confidence levels are very high in what you are doing, as well as your career option. You start to feel committed to what you're doing. Most of these still lie between the ages of 25 and 45 because people have spent a lot of time building experiences, learning, building their competencies, and hence letting themselves get placed within their career line. So the next stage would be retention or maintenance, wherein people are comfortable in their field and they have a high awareness of what's happening in their field or industry. A lot of them could be called experts because they can actually command different knowledge and field areas within their career. And a lot of them are comfortable because they've established themselves. They've still built on a number of practices as well as advantages that they have built within their field. And they're still learning off of that or earning off of that. So the next stage, which is stage number 6, is career mentoring and disengagement, wherein we have people between the ages of 50 and 60 planning their late retirement ages or planning to phase out completely. In that phase, we also see a number of people considering building up others and ready to start a new phase of their lives or out of their career. What we see down here, though, is a transition phase. The millennials will say, most of the time when they comment, they'll say, I'm in a trance. And across all the different stages of career growth that we see here, the transitional stage is always characterized by feelings of discomfort. You're unsure of where you want to be or where you are. And a lot of them, you'll find people switching even from the different stages. You may as well find somebody switching from their commitment or from their place of commitment back into the preparation or establishment phases. We've seen doctors, practicing doctors, clinical doctors go into public health. And a lot of them find themselves doing that after they have already prepared themselves, established themselves in the different fields or sectors. Hence, this transitional phase. In stages such as number 6, where you see transition happen, a lot of them are also trying to transition to see what their life is going to be like after that. So having explained that, I'm going to go straight into the traditional barriers to women career advancement. Previously, we saw stereotypes of women not being able to practice certain jobs or certain career lines. We're looking at attaining work. We're looking at issues such as attaining work and family balance. A lot of us are mothers. Like Tabitha mentioned in her presentation, a lot of us have been disadvantaged by the work-life or work-family balance. Your mothers, married women, women in careers, a lot of them are actually experiencing a number of difficulties. Others in, say, availing higher education opportunities, others in societal gender roles. What can a woman do and what can't a woman do? My example here, I could say my daughter, who is 12 right now, still in the growth or awareness levels. From childhood, she wanted to be a pilot. But when she saw and has seen a lot of practices go through the whole entire COVID sessions, she now wants to be a doctor. So trying and finding yourself gaining that balance on where it is that I want to be, that self-awareness and building that confidence in exactly that which you want to achieve or be is critical. So just to highlight a few more traditional barriers to women career advancement, we're looking at difficulties in attending, say, certain meetings because of the family arrangements or domestic requirements that are over us as we advance through our careers. So talking about the impact of COVID-19 on the women career advancement, a number of surveys have been undertaken. And according to Deloitte and Touche, we've seen that nearly 82% of women out of 400 that were surveyed from a total of 9 countries, 82% of them said that their lives have been negatively disrupted by the pandemic. And then we're looking at nearly 70% of them talking about their lives being disrupted and this having an impact on their career growth, which may be impacted. We're looking at people's daily routines changing. Physical and mental health concerns are rising. We're looking at career growth and stagnation issues, and all of these happening within this era. So when we look at other pandemic-induced challenges to career women in emerging markets or in emerging economies, McKinsey found that there's a number of them, but I want to zero in on issues such as reduced gender equity and parity in workspaces, because there's no way you're going to explain that you can't leave your children at home when people need you to be working. We have work from home policies right now, but how many of us are working effectively with children in place, husbands in place, domestic violence taking place? So there's a number of challenges still arising on that, which is ultimately affecting performance of different key players. We're looking at things like declining advancement opportunities and stalled growth, increased workload, because right now you're juggling 2 things. You're juggling being a wife, you're juggling being a mother, homeschooling, and then you're juggling work as well. A lot of us have had to have extended work hours by the fact that these disruptions are in place and there's nothing more to do than to see ourselves adapt to the different changes. Mental health issues are also very critical. How many of us are able to work, domestic violence issues, children at home, homeschooling? All of this can be an issue and can bog down on the mind or mental health of a person, which ultimately is not favorable for us to perform, ultimately affecting our performance. Other key areas that we might highlight probably are physical health. A lot of us, our families have been affected. COVID-19 is here, and you can't definitely perform if you're physically unwell. So how can we demonstrate further on what the impact of this has been? McKinsey has done a number of researches around America or out of a number of women. We've seen that in the past, career progression through the entry-level, managerial level, senior managerial directors, vice presidents, senior vice presidents, and the C-suite, which is more or less the senior core executives. From 2015 all through 2020, we've seen a number of women, at least 45% of new entrants into the markets or into the workspaces being women, 37% advancing through as managers, 32% advancing through senior level roles. And this trend continued to grow or was unshattered throughout the whole period between 2015 and 2020. We're looking at a 5-year trajectory, and this is one of them that we saw. When we look at higher level positions, for instance, the C-suite, the number of women in senior vice president positions had increased from 23 to 28%, and from the in the C-suite, we're looking at about 17% to 21% increase, which shows that women had ideally shown a lot of progress advancing through the ranks as well as their careers. But now we're looking at new changes. The effects of COVID-19 on women employment, compared 2006 to 2021, we have more women being hit harder than men by job losses around the world due to COVID-19. We have women who have been at a greater risk of layoffs or reduced working hours during the periods of anti-infection economic and social restrictions, as Tabitha highlighted. Then we have a number of women, 4.2% of women employment was eliminated, drawn out, downsized, considered or rendered irrelevant or redundant as a result of the pandemic between 2019 to 2021. And that, in comparison to men, is only about 3%, and this is according to ILO. The number of men in employment, despite all that is happening and the statistics that we're seeing right now, is projected to return to pre-pandemic levels by 2021 because most of them, it's a patriarchal environment. A lot of them are unaffected by a number of issues, especially domestic issues, while the number of women is expected to be 13 million fewer than in 2019, and this is according to ILO in 2021. When we look at this, for instance, we ask ourselves, what is a percentage drop in the number of employment by gender in terms of all the effects of COVID-19? ILO still shows us that the drop in employment has hit women harder than it did in the last years. As much as we achieved equity along the years between 2014 and 2019, there's been a deep drop or deep dive in the number of employment opportunities happening as a result of COVID-19. Companies downsizing, others being acquired, others just running out of business. So in comparison to the men, however, we see that the men or the employment opportunities for men has not dropped as much as what we have. Sorry, I think you may have noticed that the power has cut, but I hope that I'll continue. So proceeding on to that, we're looking at another effect which should measure or which should show the actual impact of what the COVID-19 pandemic has caused. In terms of attrition, we're seeing the percentage employee attrition rates dropping much lower for women than men between 2015 and 2019. As here, you will see on the table that we see, the attrition rates for women were stronger and stayed longer on jobs for various reasons than did the men in the past. When we compare to the post or pre or in the COVID-19 pandemic period, however, we see the attrition rates for women higher than that of men. Workers considering downshifting their careers but not leaving the workplace in 2020. We see a lot of women, especially those with children under 10 years, parents, as well as women without children, all on the high. Workers considering leaving the workforce are more among women because of various reasons, with those with children under 10 being the highest, as well as parents and those without children being equal to the percentage of men leaving the workforce. So ultimately, we're seeing near to immediate effects on women employment. We're seeing most affected career women groups being working mothers, especially those with children under 10, and women in senior management positions. We're considering and knowing or noting that 1 out of 4 women, according to ILO, 1 out of 4 women, according to ILO, are considering leaving the workforce or downshifting their careers versus 1 in 5 men. And then women considering leaving or downsizing their career is 10 percentage points higher than men for various reasons, which we're yet to discover, or what my next co-presenter will present. And lastly, we're looking at nearly 7 out of 10 women who experience negative shifts in their routine as a result of a pandemic, believing that their career progression is definitely going to slow down. The impacts of COVID-19 are definitely heavy, and we're seeing ourselves needing to enhance our career growth resilience. This is a disruptive environment, and all of us have to have some kind of career growth resilience strategies that we need to adopt along the way. And as mentioned earlier, different stages in growth of our careers apply or have different requirements for us to build our growth resilience in terms of our career. In the beginning, or what we call the growth awareness and assessment levels, we're looking at children or early career development issues centered around continuous learning, engaging career counselors, internships, identifying role models, developing clear value systems, and all through we're having continuous learning in stage 2, growth levels, continuous learning, building experience, internships, networks, which are very key. And then all the way through, we're looking at even at stages such as number 5, building networks, gaining more knowledge and competence, staying current with industry standards and best practices, and obtaining or engaging career sponsors. So just to be a little bit more specific on some of the resilience, strategies that we intend or we can adopt during this pandemic as women. From stages 1, 2, and 3, we need to consider building career awareness. What are your consensus efforts, or what efforts are you making to build your self-confidence as a person? We're competing in a very patriarchal environment, and what are some of the ways in which we can build our self-confidence to know that regardless of what the environment is or what the career line is, we are able to withstand whatever it is, to be able to stand or to continue to prosper or grow and advance our careers. Setting goals is going to be very critical as well. Even children as young as 10, 4, 12, it's important for us as mothers or as parents to teach them to set goals for their careers. What do they want to achieve, and how are they planning towards that? People who want to be pilots are setting themselves up to be into schools or environments that allow them to have that level of precision at a very young age. In Canada, such schools are there, and this is why parents are engaging their children to do this, or to engage into environments that allow their children to acquaint themselves with precision, which are some of those soft skills required in careers such as that. Then next, we need to prepare and stay relevant. A lot of us are in careers and maybe transitioning through careers. Some of our careers have been rendered irrelevant after all this. People in the entertainment industry, for instance, as much as they say that those might not be careers by virtue of what the preparatory processes are, a lot of them have been laid out of employment or out of their careers for reasons being that they were never ready. And a lot of them, to be relevant, have had to acquire new skills. We're looking at a world where telecommunications are adopting or being higher required, or telecommunication systems or digital systems to transform or change lives in terms of careers. Today, a performer on stage is no longer relevant as much as the lockdowns are concerned, as much as the social distancing rules and guidelines are concerned. Rather, people adopting to the video or audiovisual content development side are earning more. And these are some of the ways to prepare yourself and stay relevant. Then next, we're looking at engaging and being actively known. Build your professional support networks and career sponsors. Your career sponsors are going to be present in every single occasion where you are and able to be present. They will speak for you. They will vouch for you. So the more career sponsors that you have, the better it is for you to advance your career. Sometimes they say it's good to be technically apt, but it also is important, or more important in certain cases, to have a network of people. They say your social network is your net worth. So some of these, or engaging actively, is going to be very critical or important. Then establishing adaptation and coping mechanisms to quickly respond to disruptive circumstances and to overcome structural or dispositional career advancement barriers. What are some of these coping mechanisms? Some of us have failed to adapt, for instance, to the technological requirements, and others have adapted at a much slower rate than others. What is the world leading to now, and where are we heading in terms of different adaptive or coping mechanisms? How are you able to cope working from home with all the stress that is actually involved around it, as well as the different challenges that are brought about by the different guidelines or regulations for the management of COVID-19? Then still on 1, 2, and 3, we're looking at people needing to establish proper work-life balance. And that way you're able to reduce the level of stress that comes with knowing or immersing yourself in this new normal that we are living in presently. So without a proper work-life balance, working from home can lead you easily to work. People are working 18 hours a day because they're working from home. There's no interference of traffic, and then others are unable to even notice that the time has really gone by. So a work-life balance will be very critical for us, especially in targeting reduced stress levels due to the new normal, and working or enabling ourselves to continuously or consistently work around the different changes. So last but not least, we're looking at cross-cutting strategies that people or women can adopt throughout this whole entire disruptive environment. Number 1 is networking extensively. Building a strong base of sponsors, as mentioned earlier, for stages 1, 2, and 3 is very critical. Sponsors are also very critical for 4, 5, and 6, wherein you will need these people to vouch for you, as mentioned earlier. Then we need to learn, unlearn, relearn, and repeat. A lot of us tend to be stuck in the past, traditional systems, but it is time for us to, unlearn a lot of what we have learned in the past. There's a new normal, and out of which we need to now start progressing, as well as coping and adapting to the changes, unlearning certain ways, emotional intelligence, things of the kind, because a lot of these have been affected due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and different behaviors, attitudes also being affected in a number of ways. So we need to go back to the drawing board. What did we learn in the past, the different stages that we were at? How can we unlearn them, and how can we ensure that we are on the right path to be learning, repeating what we have learned in the same cycle? Just like the seasons that you see, it's summer today, tomorrow it's going to be winter, the next day it's going to be spring, and the next day it will be summer again. So drawing out a cycle of action points or strategies along each season that you are in. This season is disruptive, so how are you able to respond to what you are experiencing? And then for a lot of us, maybe 1, 2, and 3, we need to be volunteers, to serve on boards in the community, and then give back to society. How can you then be recognized? Your radar should read, I am able to volunteer, with or without me being paid. What is your purpose in that case? In a different sphere, we've learned that people have established their purpose, and a lot of them have been able to give back to society by virtue of them knowing their purpose towards society, and that has enabled them to stay on the radar. It might not be a work-related achievement or performance-related achievement, but it could be that one societal achievement that still elevates you and puts you back onto the radar. How much of your volunteer work is benefiting communities around you? So that being one of them. Number 4, we're looking at maintaining an active presence on LinkedIn and Twitter, because now everybody's looking and searching on the different platforms that are available online. Where we have limitations in meeting or physical presence, the online presence is going to be much stronger, and it's going to remain this way for a very long time. So how are you presenting yourself, and how are you packaging yourself online? LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and other places. How are you engaging your people on these different platforms? What kind of knowledge or what kind of information are you putting out there? Most of this will actually get you elevated or known, and you definitely will remain on the radar in an environment or a disruptive era such as this that we live in today. Then mentors are going to be very, very, very important, and coaches as well. And then lastly, I will talk about being fearless and simply doing it afraid. Are you afraid of doing something? Are you afraid of joining a patriarchal career line? Are you afraid that you might not advance? Do it afraid. And those are my key points. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. And I thank you, Angela. Thank you very much, everybody else. I will close now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Diana. So to our participants, you have heard from the research guru herself that there's actual empirical data to the effect that women have been more affected in their careers than men in this by this pandemic. And thank you also for the 6 stages in modern career advancement. Now let us switch gears a bit. We have been given tips on how to overcome the challenges. Now, we are curious to know what employers or what recruiters look for when they are interviewing potential employees for these top positions. So to take us through this, we have Angel Natianota from Tanzania. Angel is the founder and managing director of HR World Limited. This is a fast and smart hiring. Prior to founding HR World Limited, Angel worked at Exact Manpower Consulting Limited as a senior recruitment consultant, and at Kazini Kwetu Limited, which is a recruitment company, as a recruitment and sales manager. She holds a Bachelor of Business Studies degree from the University of East London. She also holds a Master's in Business Administration from Malaysia University of Science and Technology. In addition to those qualifications, she also has an International English Language Certificate from Linton College, and a certification on building a leadership pipeline, retrenchment process, life skills, entrepreneurship and performance management, in addition to a diploma in business statistics and analysis from the Linton College in Malaysia. So Angel, over to you. Let us know what potential employers are looking for.
Hi, everyone. It's a good afternoon to all you lovely ladies on here. And Angela, the introduction you've given is amazing. Thank you so much for that introduction. As Angela has mentioned, my name is Angel Josephat Natianota. I am the founder of HR World, and this is an HR company in Tanzania that was founded in 2019. And we've been in business for about 3 years more, and we have worked with amazing companies in Tanzania. So the question that I will be addressing today is what qualities do recruiters look for when they're selecting candidates for top positions? The one thing that I can say from numerous research that has been conducted in Tanzania, for example, in the Citizen paper that was published in March 2021 of this year, we see that females who are in top positions in Tanzania only constitute 9%. So basically, we've got a long journey to go so that women as well are in these decision-making positions. But we are seeing as days go by, especially with the last administration, with Magufuli's administration, we were seeing how much he motivated women even in the political arena to step up to the plate and take responsibility. The CEO, the MD of NMB Bank, we're seeing that's a woman as well. We're seeing a lot of women coming into decision and management positions, especially in the banking sector. So it is a slow growth, but it's making a positive progress. So it's something to be honestly acknowledged, especially with our government and even with our president being female. So I believe we are heading in the right direction. So just a few of the qualities that us as recruiters look for in the qualities that we look for in selecting candidates in top positions. As HR world, we love to give equal opportunity, whether it's male or female, but definitely we're looking as well to put an impact in females who are getting into the employment sector, and especially females that are getting into managerial positions. So some of the things that we're looking for is flexibility, especially in this COVID era where honestly, COVID has changed the way people work, whether it's Tanzania, whether it's Europe, whether it's Asia. COVID has really shown businesses you have to be flexible. And this flexibility is something that most HRs we look at. We look at, is somebody flexible? People are normally comfortable with the 8 to 5 working hours. But for example, with international organizations, because of time difference, sometimes somebody may be required to work at 9 p.m. because the counterpart is working in another continent on that time difference. These are things that we normally look at. What's the flexibility of the candidate that we're bringing in? Are they flexible in working in various working hours? Are they flexible when they're called into work on a Saturday, on a Sunday, where need be? Are they able to travel? And what are their traveling commitments? Are they able to work past the usual working hours? This is something that most organizations are looking at. Another item that we normally look at when we're looking for employees, we're looking at the reliability of the person that we're putting down for the interview with an organization. Is this person reliable? If they're given a task, are they able to start it from the beginning to the end? Will they be able to deliver on the task that they're given? Or when they see that the task is getting harder, are they the kind of people that are going to give excuses and not accomplish this task to end? Sorry, I think there is, okay, all right. So I was talking about reliability. Is the person that we are recommending, are they reliable? Are they able to complete tasks in time? So we normally do an extensive research on the candidate that we're given. We try and see in their previous jobs, how are they performing? Are they able to accomplish their tasks? Are they able to, when you're talking about accomplishment, also, are they able to work as a team? Are they able to work as a team? Are they able to, when a hurdle comes up in a project, are they quick on their toes with the solutions that they're giving? So these are some of the things that we're looking at. Another item that we look at when we're looking for a staff is their motivation. So many people, we see these quotes online that have a passion for what you're doing, have this, love the job that you're doing. In the employment world, when you're not happy and you're not motivated with what you're doing, it actually shows in your work. It actually shows when you go for meetings. It actually shows in the way you're replying your emails. It actually shows in the way somebody walks into your office. So it's very important for us to make sure that the candidate that we're referring to an employer, are they motivated? Are they comfortable with their job? Do they have a clear vision of what they want to do? The job that they're applying for, are they applying for it just to have a paycheck at the end of the month? Or is it something that they really are passionate about and motivated about? This is something we look at as employers. I don't know if there's any question anybody would love to ask. I always love interactive sessions. So yes.
Angela, there is no question so far, but from the chat, people are really following. We have Amina Ukwaju, who is agreeing with you on the issue of flexibility. We have Luseka, who is loving the session. And there's somebody, we have Christine. We see your comment, it seems incomplete. So just go back on the comment section and finish your comment. So Angel, you can proceed unless you have finished your presentation.
I
we
see
are
there's a
following keenly.
All right, thank you so much. I see there's some few questions here. Angel, what does it mean for women with more than 3 children? Does the new normal mean most of them will not be considered over women without children? Well, this is a very, very excellent question. This is a very, very excellent question. Women with children, I'll give an example. There are organizations that tell you straight up that for this position, I do not want a woman. And we normally go down and ask, why do you not want a woman? And they'll give their reasons, for example, maternity leave. And the law in Tanzania, especially when it comes to employment, it favors the employee more than it favors the employer. So most employers in Tanzania always want to cross their T's and dot their I's. So for example, for a woman who has children, unfortunately, we're living in a man's world. A man is always going to be prioritized because he doesn't need to take maternity leave. If he takes paternity leave, maybe it's for a month, sometimes it's for a few weeks, depending on the legalities of paternity leave and maternity leave in the country where they're in. Now, for women, especially who have children, that means we have got to work 2 times, 3 times, sometimes even 50 times harder. That means we've got to have a schedule and be able to coordinate our work life and our professional life and our personal life. If this woman can get help at home and she can, when she goes to work, she can concentrate on work. When she's at home, she can concentrate on being home. That's something that we'll definitely advise. But with any company, you wouldn't want to see somebody is at work, they're picking up their phone, the child is crying, or even with those that are working from home. Normally, we advise if you're working from home, have a separate room that's away from your children, away from your spouse, because work is work. Unfortunately, that's the cruelty of how the world is. So if you can get somebody to help you at home and can help you manage that, well and good. I hope I have answered that question correctly. And then we have, let me just scroll this. There's so many questions that have come up here. Okay, thank you, Angel. Okay.
Maybe, Angel, we take questions at the end so that we can hear from the other presenters. In the meantime, keep posting, keep interacting on the chat section. We see your comments and we are going to address all of them. I have been talking for quite some time and I have a co-host, so I hand over to my co-host. This is Hadija Nansubuga, all the way in Uganda, to take over from here. Hadija.
Thank you, Angela. And thank you, Angel, for that presentation. We have heard about what employers look for when they are hiring top employees. So our next presenter will be Elsie from Burundi. She will be presenting, she will be telling us about the emerging opportunities that we can exploit for career advancement post this pandemic period. Elsie Irakoze is a lawyer with a bachelor's degree from the University Lumia di Burundi, and also she holds a master's degree in business law from the Symbiosis Law University in India. She's an associate at Revere and Co. and Company Advocates, and she has been there since 2016. She has sound knowledge and experience for assistance of clients in various business laws like contract law, company law, banking, insurance, and international trade. She has acted as a legal advisor for Burundi investment policy, scoping and design of reform program, and she has also assisted in improvement of Burundi's investment climate and higher domestication of East African Community Common Market Protocol. So Elsie will be taking us through how we can exploit emerging opportunities for career advancement in this new post-pandemic normal. Elsie, you're welcome.
Thank you, Aditya. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon to you all, and thank you to the committee of the ELS for giving me this opportunity to be a panelist. And I thank a lot the previous panelists. The presentations were great, and now we'll be talking about how can we exploit emerging opportunities for career advancement in this new post-pandemic normal. As Diana said in her presentation, she exposed a number of challenges touching women while working from home. I will start by saying that the first thing the women should position themselves in participating in the design and implementation of the national or regional or even international COVID-19 policy response. We are the ones who are suffering a lot from the COVID pandemic, and we need to get to participate in the design and implementation of that COVID-19 policy response. For example, in our law firm, we have a protocol we set it up so that we can make easier for women to work remotely from home, you know, and also Angel talked about flexibility. So you have your assignments, you have your deadlines. It is up to you to manage your time in order to meet your deadlines. And then I think women in participating in that design and implementation of COVID-19 policy response, it is the key because we know what we need, and then we should make easier for us to work in that period. The second thing I can say is about technology. With the COVID-19 pandemic, companies tried to find a way of continuing working as well as to keep its employees safe. So technology now is the center of many corporate sectors, law firms, and other business sectors. So women, I think, are huge to get interested in the field of technology. It doesn't mean that they should necessarily get degrees in IT or other sciences, but to know the basics, such as to use the communications facilities, for example, like Zoom, WebEx, as most of those meetings are held on those platforms. For example, for women in the sales sector, they can also consider to have online clients as their targets. For that, they will have to create a website where their product can be found easily, to put in place a system of payment and a system of delivery of their products that makes smooth the transaction. I was impressed by women in Tanzania. They have profile on Instagrams. They show their products. They even wear it so that we can see how it looks on someone, and then they sell it across the ESC. You know, can you imagine? I can buy things from here at home in Burundi and buy it from Tanzania. So that's a good marketing. That's an opportunity to grab as a women. And also I saw that for the ESC Court of Justice, there is this online filing of cases. Yeah, so women should be encouraged to be familiar, to prepare also pleadings and be able to appear before the court online. We should also consider the technology as a tool on a daily basis. And also in the presentation of Diana, sorry to come back to the presentation of Diana because it took, I was impressed of what she was saying, that you have to maintain an active presence on LinkedIn and Twitter, because now recruiters and people who wants to know you, they check your profile online. So you have to have a good profile, how to engage with recruiters to make visible your profile, you know. So that's how you will grab also the opportunity and to be able to have a career in advancement. The third thing is capacity building. The capacity building, I consider that like a key for career advancement. So it is highly recommended to select which subject or skill you would like to gain more knowledge in it, and then find resources or trainings so that you can improve that skill. In today's world, resources are found online and some of them are even free. Like corporate companies or law firms propose now to their employees short courses, trainings, or seminars to attend. The first presenter, Tabitha, talked about Stanford leading short home courses. It's that an opportunity. Also, there is these online resources, for example, Practical Law, LexisNexis, and etc. These online resources are full of information that help whenever you are writing a paper, dissertation, and they give an added value when a recruiter is reading your submission, or if anyone see your publication in any of the journals, so you will be more visible, and that's an opportunity you are creating for yourself. So also women have to step up and get out of the crowd in order to be able to be visible, via their work. There is when manipulating the technology, information, and facility, and the motivation to achieve their objectives. Yeah, I know some of the women will say that they are very busy with work, family, but it is important to create your own opportunities, because it will go to your CV and it will enhance your profile. For example, DLA Paper Africa, which is an alliance of independent law firms working together in Africa and internationally, provides a series of trainings to lawyers of its members. There are various subjects such as finance, arbitration, legal writings, building your personal brand, etc. And at the end, you get a certificate. Imagine, for example, let me talk about our law firms. Imagine those lawyers who didn't beneficiate or who didn't attend those seminars will not be able to get that certificate. And the one who got that certificate will increase her CV and her profile, and she will get an advantage to get a career advancement more than the other who didn't attend the webinars and trainings. The last thing is networking. To participate in different activities, attending virtual meetings or webinars, such as these provided by the ELS, helps grow our network. So I encourage women lawyers to not be afraid to be a panelist in webinars or any other activity in your national bar or in the region, because it is when you see how it is when you see how in other places it is going, and how effective you are in your area, that you improve your skills. There is a company named Inthe in US, which purpose is stated to create world-changing technology that enriches the lives of every person on Earth, is underpinned by their cultural value of inclusion. The company frequently states that their ambition is to be the most inclusive company in the world, and this cannot be accomplished without a laser-like focus on supporting their female employees through networking programs like the Women at Intel community, and a strong commitment to empowering the next generation of the female tech workforce. I was impressed with this company because one lady who is working there, she's called Shelley Lafree, said that being a part of WIN, which is, WIN is Women at Intel, being a part of WIN over the last decade has been a catalyst for amazing things in my career. My network has increased exponentially as the work we do within WIN spans all business groups and campuses at Intel. WIN has connected me to amazing people and leaders across the company who have leveraged as references for key roles, as well as coaches when I was in need of support. This example is highlights how networking is key when you are working for career also advancement. So I have been attending the webinars organized by the ELS Women Lawyers Committee, and I was impressed by a lot of information we get from the panelists. The panelists are very kind and ready to share their knowledge. I think that we can enter in contact with them via the ELS Secretariat, and by then we create an opportunity. I think the worst thing is to stay silent, not to be motivated, and not to willing to learn something new in order to improve your knowledge, to improve your profile, and to grab those opportunities that are there in this post-pandemic. Post-pandemic. Also, I was impressed by, and I will finish by that, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, when celebrating her 30th birthday, she asked 40 women to dedicate 40 minutes of their time to mentor women who lost their job during the pandemic in order to equip them to return at the workplace. Thank you so much, Hadija. My presentation ended here. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsie. Elsie talked about networking as an opportunity for women to advance our careers. I think we can all take on that. Through networking, we meet a number of people that can help build our careers. Our next discussant will be Betty Mbabazi from Rwanda, and she will be discussing whether culture plays a role in advancing our careers as women. And Betty is the managing partner at Millennium Law Chambers based in Kigali, Rwanda. But prior to being the managing partner, she served at the United Nations International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda in Arusha, Tanzania as an associate appeals counsel for 7 years. She was also an associate legal officer, and before she was a legal researcher. Before moving to Tanzania, she also served as a legal advisor at the Ministry of Infrastructure in Rwanda. She holds a master's degree in international studies from Uppsala University in Sweden and a law degree from the National University of Rwanda. She's a member of both Kigali Bar Association and the East African Law Society. She has an experience in criminal, commercial, and the law of contract. She boasts a track record of court cases where she has won many and most in her favor. She has also provided advisory services to local and international companies and individuals with contracts in excess of $6 million US. So Betty, you're welcome to discuss whether culture plays a role in our career advancement. Betty, please unmute.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, Betty.
Okay. So let me hope everyone is listening. So good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm very delighted to be part of this discussion. Very useful discussions for women, especially. And I'm very delighted to be part of this. So my topic was to discuss about culture, whether it has an effect on our career advancement for women. And I have to give perspectives from several countries. So in addressing this question, I think we need to fully understand the meaning of culture. The definition of culture itself is broad, but many scholars have defined culture differently. And because there's so many who have defined it differently, I had to choose one scholar, and I go, for the purposes of this discussion, I go by his definition. So I would use the scholar called Zimmerman's definition of culture. And in his 2017 paper titled, "What is Culture?" he defined culture as the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, referring to social habits, religion, language, music, and art, etc. So when we talk about culture of a particular group of people, we tend to think of religion. And in this topic, I'll be talking about religion as a component of culture that has really hindered our career advancement for women. I have chosen countries that have severely faced this issue. Yeah, because different countries have different cultural beliefs towards men and women and their career advancement. So for example, in North Sudan, just like in many Muslim cultures, enforces strict gender roles in the society. Men in the north of Sudan are viewed as income earners, whereas women as homemakers, and their role is basically centered around domestic and family maintenance. This information was detailed in the UNICEF report of 2016. So in other Muslim countries, like Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, gender discrimination is extreme under the system called male guardianship, where women are considered as permanent legal minors. Basically, there's nothing a woman can do by herself. A woman can never think or make any decision by herself without the guidance or without consent or approval of her guardian. from the moment a girl child is born, she immediately gets a male guardian, either to be a brother, an older brother, or her dad, to think and make decisions on her behalf until she's married, and then the husband takes over. So in Saudi Arabia, women to study abroad, this is an example that I came up with. Saudi Arabian women, before they are to study abroad on a government sponsorship, they have to seek approval and consent from their guardians, who are either their husbands or their brothers or their fathers. So this kind of male guardianship in Saudi Arabia, and especially in Saudi Arabia and Afghanistan, has really hampered the career advancement for women. If you're to study, if you're a young girl wishing to study or to advance any career of any kind, the moment your guardian does not approve or is not in agreement with it, that will be done. You won't be anywhere in the picture. So, whereas the region has played the biggest role to discriminate women in Arab countries, there are some African leaders who have also done nothing to empower women, and whose mentality about women's role in the society is sickening. A good example is the Nigerian president called Muhammadu Buhari. This statement was shocking. In 2016, while on a state visit to Germany, and during a press conference, journalists were asking him about his wife's criticism about his government. And his response to that question was shocking to many. And this is how he responded. He responded by saying that he does not know what party his wife belongs to, but what he is sure of is that his wife belongs to his kitchen and his bedroom. Hello?
Yes, Betty, we can hear
You
you.
can hear me? Okay. Okay, I thought of lost. I have internet issues around. So, let me see. So I was talking about the Nigerian president and his response to the journalist after he was asked about his wife's party. So the response to that, he said he is sure of where that woman, the wife, the first lady, belonging to the kitchen and his bedroom. So his response is shocking. It's shocking, and his statement only confirms how some cultures perceive women. If a head of state has that mentality on women, you can only imagine what happens in his entire country. So with such kind of beliefs, in most Muslim countries, girl education is impossible and career advancement is non-existent. So in most non-Muslim countries in Africa, the story is no different. Women are considered as inferior to men. And this has turned out to be an obstacle for women and girls to study and advance their careers. So in Rwanda, for example, in the past, the primary responsibility for women was to take care of the home, look after the children, and do the household chores. Going to school wasn't a priority, mainly because the parents did not find it necessary to educate a girl. They would rather prefer to have the girl at home helping the mother with the household chores, waiting for her marriage. But in the present Rwanda, under the leadership of His Excellency Paul Kagame, the story has changed. Both men and women have equal opportunities when it comes to education and career advancement. According to the Forbes.com, Rwanda has the highest percentage of women representatives in a parliament. It's about 61 now. So this remarkable achievement is attributed to the current government under the leadership of His Excellency Paul Kagame, who decided to change the mentality of looking at women as people who only belong to the kitchen. But however, the government policies in Rwanda and many other African countries who are trying to empower and promote women in their career advancement and other aspects, there's still much to do. I'll give an example of our bar association in Rwanda. The bar is still highly dominated by men. Women lawyers are not even half the number. And even the few lawyers who had enrolled with the bar are slowly dropping out due to several factors, like our participants were talking about, having to juggle so many things, so many house chores, homeschooling, all that. And they find that they do not have the time to concentrate on their career and the job, and they end up losing the job. So I have thought of two major reasons that have made the women lawyers drop out, especially during this pandemic. First of all, it is due to failure to compete with men on the market. Men are the majority in the bar, and even the competition is hard for the girls and the women to compete. The other issue is about the household chores, which were even further complicated by the current pandemic, where most mothers have added homeschooling on the list of activities to do at home. For instance, you have an assignment at work, you have to go home and look after your home, your children, and now homeschooling has even made it worse. So juggling between those chores is really hard, and many women lawyers are dropping out. So in conclusion, culture has a huge influence on career advancement, particularly with women. When we look at careers from many African countries, cultural perspectives, most women are unable to get to the radar and advance their careers in life due to culture. Culture has really made it worse, and it's only about the women to take up the challenges and try to be hard, and been given the ways to do it by the participants who spoke before me. My recommendation is to stay focused and grab those opportunities like the former participants or former panelists gave us as a recommendation. So if there's any question to answer, my presentation stops here.
Thank you, Betty, for that wonderful presentation. We shall have our next speaker from South Sudan. Betty has discussed how culture affects women's career in advancement. So our speaker, Majok, will be discussing whether career advancement should be a priority for women during these unprecedented pandemic times. And Atong Majok, she's a lawyer by profession and a journalist by training, where she heads the board of directors of South Sudan Media Authority. She's also a human rights lawyer and a women rights activist. She's a member of the board of National Alliance of Women Lawyers and a member of the South Sudan Association of Women Advocates. She has participated in a number of national and international conferences, as well as meetings, and she was a key participant in the review of the Security Sector Laws, Election Act, and Political Parties Act in 2017 in South Sudan. Majok, you're welcome, and you'll be giving us the human rights perspective on whether career advancement should be a priority for women.
Thank you so much, Khadija. I am so happy to be part of this panel of discussion that is full of expertise from different parts of East Africa. And I'm just so excited also because this is my first time being part of EALC panel of discussions, and I would like to, I really wanted to take more from the rest of the panelists, but unfortunately I was traveling, so I couldn't. I was in the airport trying to listen to the panelists, but at the same time I have to get my luggages and so on. So so I didn't pick most of the panelists discussion, but I hope it is recorded one, so that I can go back to it later on. Thank you so much. The question is whether career advancement should be a priority for women during this unprecedented pandemic times. My answer is yes, and a big yes with the capital letters. The fact that I put that is that career advancement is one of the most important elements for employee satisfaction and retention at work. So if you want to continue working in a certain place and make your employee satisfied about the work that you are doing, therefore to retain you at work, you need to go through career advancement. That is learning new things, coming up with new things every time, and especially for women, for sure, yes, because you know, this COVID-19 have affected the mankind globally, and it has affected women extra, you know, to the level that some could not continue working because you have to work from home, take care of children, go through your studies, and so on. Some couldn't make it, and they lost their jobs just simply because she have meeting at 1, a Zoom meeting at 1, and at the same time she have a lesson for one of her kids at 1. Maybe 1 is the lunch time, and everything is being done from home. So some of the women lost their jobs simply because it wasn't easy anymore. That's why I said earlier, you know, the COVID-19 have affected the global or the mankind globally, but its effect on women is extra. So to make the matter worse, nobody knows when it is going away, including scientists themselves. And the hope was that after taking the vaccines, one can be safe from COVID-19, but they said it is not. I mean, the scientists. So people have to continue living without putting anything on hold. That is to say, we don't put our career and advancement on hold. We continue learning, we continue knowing new things, we continue, you know, going through new studies and even joining the globe on the world of technology. You know, some of us as lawyers, you are in the office, you know computer, but you don't want to take your time standing or sitting in front of the computer. Therefore, you have your secretary that will be doing all the typing for you. So you don't have enough time to sit in front of computer and do your work personally. So it is very important to equip yourself as a woman lawyer. You know yourself that you have a secretary, but then there are some situations that might force you to do your job without having a secretary around. And that is to say, for example, now we're having this Zoom meeting. If I am computer illiterate, I'll not be able to join the meeting or to log in, or, you know, considering the fact that I might be alone in the office or I might be home alone. So career advancement should not be only on my career. I can also learn new things. I can learn that I have to open my computer. If it is not opening, then maybe I need to activate it. If it is not activating, maybe I need antivirus. And when it reaches the level that I have to get the expert to do it, that's when I will go out for the expert. So going back to the point, yes, career advancement is a priority to the women during this pandemic, because we have to impose ourselves by force, and that is to say, we equip ourselves and be able, you know, to do things that other people will not do. Therefore, you will be taken as the right person to do that specific job. So it is good to equip ourselves, make sure that we do more than what is expected from us, so that we are not taken away when time comes for the company to do. They give it a name. A certain company, for example, have employees, and then with the pandemic, you have to cut down some of your employees because you are not able to pay all of them, and so on. So it's good to be well equipped to the level that you will not be an easy person to deal out with, or it will not be easy for your employee to take you out of that job because you are doing it perfectly. On human rights, with a human rights perspective, yes, it is, you should not discriminate, and everybody have right to information, have right to access information, have right to learn, have right to education, and so on. So women are not exclusive from that. If those are human rights, then definitely these are women's rights. And the reason as to why I say you have to equip yourself, when it comes to the time the company need to deal away with some employees, you will definitely not be one. And if it happens and someone is trying to defend you, then that person should have enough reason to say, this is the right person for this job. Because if it is about certain things, she's well off in this particular things. So women should always know how to advance their careers. They should volunteer for other department or organizations. That is to say, if I work for a certain law firm, for example, but I know that some organization, for example, in the case of South Sudan, we have FIDA. And FIDE is an East African organization. It is not only in South Sudan, it is even there in Uganda, and Hadija will prove me right. I think also in Kenya as well. So you can volunteer with FIDE, for example, provide pro bono cases, and do other trainings, for example. Go and volunteer. You don't have to be paid from department to department or from organization to another organization. Build your network. Have a very strong network. For example, if I know Hadija is from Uganda and they have opportunities in Uganda for trainings, then definitely I will have someone to rely on if there's anything in Uganda, for example, or if there's anything in Burundi or Rwanda. So definitely you have to build your network. Get a mentor. You need to get a mentor that will be, directing you. This is how you should go that way. Get a sponsor, just in case you are not able to sponsor yourself and advance your career, for example, by going for masters or for extra trainings. Then speak up. Let people know that so and so is there, and she can do 1, 2, 3. Because if I'm quiet, nobody will know what I actually do. So I have to be speaking out. Check for internal jobs. If there are any jobs within certain organization, or even within your own organization that you work for, assuming that you were there as a legal officer, but there is another position for head of legal department, for example, then you have to be looking at what is there internally. Continue learning. You have to continue learning. It doesn't stop here. When we went to law school, we were going through books of laws, then we didn't know the practice outside is a different thing. But when we came outside, the practice was a bit different than what we had in school. So some things you will come and get outside when you are when you are practicing. You will learn things that have not been there in school. So you continue learning. Connect with your managers, the person that you work with. You connect with them. Have that, have that open line. Accept more responsibilities that are often given to you. Be professional, support team, take responsibilities for mistakes. For example, if I have done any mistake, I have to take responsibilities for my mistakes that I have done knowingly or maybe unknowingly or accidentally. So it's very important for women, and more especially the women lawyers, to go through advancement of their careers and learning new things that might help them in their profession. In South Sudan, and this is what is very difficult for us as women lawyers, in let's say the bar association, for example, is all men. And if women are given positions, they are only given because they are only seen in court. She's only going to court when she's representing a client. If there are meetings, she's not there. If there are whatever, she's not there. Of course, women might have a lot of responsibilities in hand, that is taking care of kids, cooking at home, doing a lot of other things. Then you will find women being given the department of finance. The woman will be in charge of finance. That is getting only the fund, put them in the accounts. When we need money, you will be called, Madam, we need some money. Then you come and, withdraw money from that account, because you are not seen as that person who have enough experience in some other things rather than the finance. They would say, women are always, okay, so if you give them money, they will keep them safe. That's what they know about us. And we have to change the narrative. We have to change the narrative. That is to say, going for masters, going for PhDs, going for other trainings available, going for different masters. If you can go for 3 to 4 different masters, why not? In oil field, in human rights, in humanitarian laws, in let's say international relations as much as you can, so that people will know that this is an advanced lawyer. She has done a lot. She has done 1, 2, 3. You know, the COVID-19 is not ending anytime soon. It's not ending anytime soon. Therefore, we should not put anything on hold. So I think I have taken more than the time I was given. So I would want to stop here. And if I have any questions, I would be okay to respond.
Thank you, Majo. Thank you for that wonderful insight, and also for giving us some tips on how women can change the narrative to remain relevant. I'll now give the mic to Angela to take us through the next session. Angela?
Thank you very much, Hadija. We have some questions, but before we get to the questions, our keynote speaker's presentation was unfortunately cut short due to some technical challenges. I'm quite sure she has sorted them out. Tabitha, you dropped off at the point where you were telling us about the Stanford home courses. So maybe finalize on that, then we take 1 or 2 questions, then we take closing remarks from the speakers, then we shall wind up the session. Tabitha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Angela. I am truly embarrassed on behalf of the electricity, the internet, because this is very unusual for me. So I just want to say that I'm very, very cautious of the fact that, you know, time is not on our side. And to be honest, I think everything that I would have wanted to tell the young lawyers who are listening in on this session has already been said in one way or the other by Diana, by Atong, by Betty, by everybody else, including Angel, who also spoke, as well as Elsie Michelle. What I would probably do, because I feel that I will be doing an injustice to the discussions that we started, and because of the fact that I left you at a very depressing moment, what I can quickly do is just give you the hopes, right? The highlights of the hopes, so that you are not just left with a very discouraged spirit, thinking that all is negative in terms of COVID. One of the things that perhaps in the next 2 minutes that I want to quickly summarize my presentation, I would have wanted to bring out is that where else emails stopped finding us well, where else Zoom became something that became a negative because of the fatigue that was there, it was not all dark and gloomy in terms of businesses. And we actually saw some of the highest earning profits between 2020 and 2021. Zoom, for instance, is deemed to have earned about 1 billion in terms of stocks rising and in terms of the number of people who now registered a Zoom account. Netflix, so it stopped becoming just Netflix and chill, but people subscribed. 16 million new people subscribed for Netflix between last year and now. We also saw African companies such as Nigeria's Jumia, founded in 2012, taking up so much space in terms of Africa and taking up so much space in terms of delivery. And we also saw in terms of not just technological companies, but also in terms of biological companies such as Pfizer reaping hundreds of profits from the COVID. One of the interesting things that I thought to highlight to the women who are here is that statistics show that in 2020, the lipstick business plunged in terms of its sales by 50%. But I wanted somebody to take a guess in terms of when lipstick sales plunged, which body part capitalists took advantage of and started selling the most cosmetics for. Can somebody just unmute themselves and shout which body part you think earned more profits for the capitalist industries? Does anyone have an idea?
Maybe we post on the chat section. I think
Yes.
we are thinking.
If you take a wild guess, if you take a wild guess, when lipsticks plunged, the cosmetics industry started focusing on eyeliner and eyeshadows. So what happened is that the business for eyeshadows and eyeliners boomed in terms of triple the amount of money that these organizations were getting. And we saw the world reinventing itself. We saw tour companies, for instance, begin to offer virtual sessions. We saw motorcycle industries start to increase homemade deliveries for everything. We started to see newspapers starting to charge for online subscription. We saw young people design and develop apps that were meant to track and monitor COVID. We saw gyms that started offering virtual subscription. And we also saw young people in the African continent refuse to be left behind in terms of what they were doing in addressing COVID. Most of them coming up with what you'd call the most unique mask that we've seen, the cloth mask that saw itself earning a place in the Vogue because of the fact that most of our young people refused just to have the industrial mask, but started addressing the fact that because of poverty, many people could not afford to have the disposable masks, and therefore they came up with what you'd call the cloth or the print mask. Closer home, as has been mentioned before, we had successes in terms of the first ever at the East Africa Community female president, and in Kenya we had the first ever female Chief Justice. What would I summarize in terms of the three top advice that I would give to any young lawyer who wants or is somewhere near the spectrum that Diana shared of finding themselves? Number one, is it, I would really wish, and these are lessons and a pep talk that I would have given myself at the age of 25, have the courage to disrupt. It's not everyone, and probably not everyone is meant to do an 8 to 5. And sometimes you just have to have the courage to either start your own business during a COVID pandemic, to take a risk with a project that you've always wanted to do, and you probably have been asking yourself, what will happen when I lose my job? So the first set of advice that I'd give to any young lawyer out there who's still listening to this is, I really wish that you have the courage to disrupt. That courage comes from knowing that you might not get it right the first time, but try again, try and fail, but please don't stop trying. The second thing that I'd want to, give as advice to any young lawyer who is out there is please remain teachable. Sometimes pride gets in the way of how we view things, and even when we are corrected. And during this lifelong journey that you have as a lawyer, as an expert in the making, please take corrections with a teachable spirit. And I like what our colleague Ajong said from South Sudan, is that get yourself a mentor, but at the same time, this is not advice that is just for you when you're young. Remain teachable even when you are 65, even when you're 75, because there's always something new to learn. My last advice to you was for you to invest in yourself intentionally. Do not always wait for the law firm to pay for your practicing certificate. Do not always wait for the law firm to tell you, have you gone for your CPD points for this year? Be intentional in evaluating the skill set that you have every beginning of the year. What is it that is missing? What is it that you'd want to invest in yourself in? And start putting aside those funds, because your master's, probably you might be successful enough to get a scholarship. There's some people who will never get a scholarship. If you don't have that, don't wait until you get a scholarship so that you are able to do your master's. Start putting aside a little money for that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that your place is not where Buhari said, in the kitchen, that your place is in leadership, your place is in the lab, your place is in politics, academics, peacekeeping, and everywhere, because that's the kind of resilience that women have and have always had. Thank you.
You are very welcome. I think you must have crossed your fingers very tightly and prayed to all entities, because we heard you loud and clear. There was absolutely no buffering. So thank you very much for finalizing your presentation. And it's true, in your words, it all came together neatly in a bowl. We now have, I've been checking the chat section. We have 2 questions that have been directed to Angel regarding, there are 2 questions. Angel, if you're there, you can unmute and answer the 2 questions that are related. One was how to deal with a hostile employer, and the other one was how advice that you have for anyone who is unhappy in their current job. Angel?
Hi, Angela.
Yes.
For hostile employer, normally I would recommend somebody to go through the whole HR process. If they are comfortable with the immediate senior manager or their manager, they can try to address that issue through them, or look for somebody in the organization that they can trust, who can as well talk to the person that they're having this problem with. Normally, that's how I would, that's what I would advise. And sorry, what was the second question?
The second question was some advice that you would give to someone who is unhappy with their current job.
This goes back to having a passion for what you're doing. Normally, as HR world, we normally try and talk to university students, especially university students who have just finished their degree. And we normally advise them to first go into employment before going straight to their masters. And the reason that we do this is for a person to actually know what they want to specialize in and what they want their career path to look like. Normally, when you find situations where somebody is unhappy with the job that they're doing, maybe they don't even like the job. Maybe you're doing a sales job and you don't like selling. So that will definitely show up in your numbers and in the revenue that you're bringing into the company. And it can actually bring clashes between you and your employer. So if you do not have passion for what you're doing, it's very impossible to see results for that thing. So identify what you're good at. Specialize in it, and try to educate yourself as much as possible in the field that you've chosen to specialize in. I don't know if I've answered that question the way the way the person who asked it needed to.
I think the question has been sufficiently answered. Now, as we are winding up, I will give one of us an opportunity, one of the participants an opportunity to share her experience on the issue of culture. Stella Mdawa, unmute yourself and talk to us, but I am giving you only 2 minutes in the interest of time. You can share your experience. Stella D. Mdawa. Are you there? Okay. We'll give you an opportunity later. So now back to our panelists. We would like you to give your closing remarks. Just 1 minute each for your closing remarks and your parting shots. And back to the comment section, we are seeing your comments. Amanya Claire, we see you, and Koshaba Brilliant Linda. We shall share the presentations later. This is why it was very important for you to register, so that we get your your email addresses. Caroline Kaganzi, you have stated another invention, and that is the shield mask, so that women can show off their makeup and their lipstick. Mary Andrea, we see your comment. You are very touched by Atong's presentation. We have Amina Ukwaju agreeing with Angel on the issue of flexibility. We have Margaret Mjire appreciating Diana's comment, Diana's presentation. So on the final remarks, we shall, the last will be first and the first will be last. So we shall start with Atong. Atong, you can give us your last, wait, before you speak, Stella, are you ready? Stella, are you able to unmute yourself?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, remember,
Yeah.
keep it short.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you so much for this great opportunity. Good afternoon, my learned friends. I was
Good
so impressed
afternoon.
by the presentation of our learned friend, our sister. Actually, I have a small testimony. Actually, I'm residing outside of my country. I'm in Deutschland. When she was talking about her culture, it was so powerful, and I was really moved because sometimes I can be a witness. We get some opportunity, for instance, but here, according to their way or culture, you have to have maybe certain level of their language level, so you can be able to start working. So it's a little bit, really, to be honest, this issue has to be addressed also, not only to other Muslim country or African, but also to Europe. That is my short comment, and I have a more testimony, but because of time, I can't really share everything. But I get, for instance, an opportunity. I'm just a writer. Some of my work are in Amazon. So once upon a time, I get an opportunity to go to other, like apart from being a lawyer, I have another talent. So they see that people in Amazon company, and they want to give me an offer to do a certain course about technology, how to use graphic, something like that. You understand very well. So I get that opportunity, but unfortunately, I was supposed also to liaise with this, some authority here for that course to help me a little bit to pay, because they say they can help me, but I have also to ask for the procedure here. But when I go to the authority, some authority who are responsible for that here, for giving me a coupon, but they say, sorry, you have to have B1 first of all, and you did law, why you want to depart from this, you want to do this. So I was shocked because that course was in English actually, and it was in the certain institute in Hamburg, it's called DCI. So I lost that opportunity, to be honest with you, and I was really, really furious about this. So really sometimes, you can think this is a really minor issue, but it's really affect even for those who are educated and non-educated as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Stella, for your insights. And, you know, we tend to imagine that in Europe, everything is all rosy, but thank you for bringing a different perspective to this conversation. This is why we need to keep having these conversations. Then from having such conversations, we'll get policy, and eventually we'll have a culture change. Back to the panelists, let us have your very brief closing remarks. We start with Atong Majok from South Sudan. Atong.
Yeah, Angela, thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. My last remark goes to the young women lawyers, those who are coming up. As I said earlier, let's stop limiting ourselves to certain things only. Let's explore in the field of law. Let us explore, and don't just be that lawyer who does only specific things. Let us advance our career, develop our career, you know, make ourselves shine better and better. I have to apologize for this, sorry. I was traveling and I came to the kids. This is what I was saying earlier.
Multitasking is a power, it's a superpower to women. We understand.
Yeah. So let's just be let's not be those who will have only a specific things to do. Let us be multi-purpose lawyers, you know, especially the young women lawyers who are coming up. This is an opportunity for you. We wish if some of us have got this when we were 25 or when we just graduated, as said earlier by one of the panelists, you know, that she wished she had some of this information when she was 25. So the last thing is that not only advancement of the career and development of the career, but also learning new things that are different from the careers. The last speaker just talked now about how she moved from another career to the other one, which is not bad as long as she's, you know, she's good at what she's doing and she's trying another thing and she will be good for that. Lastly, for the women who are, you know, having families, kids, and so on, let's give other women jobs by, you know, letting them take care of the house. And you are a lawyer, go and do the lawyering job outside there, and let other people to give other opportunities for other women to you know, to work and then try to advance, not making families or kids be, you know, obstacles in our way to advancement of our career and development.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Atong. Final comments, Betty Mbabazi from Rwanda, your final comment.
Yes, thank you again. My closing remark would be addressed to young and women lawyers and even other professions to refuse to belong to the kitchen. We refuse to belong to the kitchen because we can belong elsewhere. As they say, we have seen women have made it, and as they say, what a man can do, a woman can do better. So let's stick to that. And we totally refuse to belong to the kitchen because we can be elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Betty. Elsie Irakoze from Burundi, let's get your final remarks. Elsie, Michelle.
Thank you, Angela. Remarks will get to also young lawyers, women lawyers, and other professions. Yeah, we have to create our opportunities. We don't have to sit there and opportunity to knock on our doors. No, we have to work for it, to be equipped, to attend trainings, to search for those courses, ourselves in order to ourselves that we are able, you know. So women should help them. Lawyers that are there, we should know how to ask what we want and to know to set concrete objectives and to find a way to achieve them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elsie. Over to you, Angel Natianota from Tanzania. Final remarks.
My last word is for professionals, that's where you see your profession, that's where you see your profession long term. Try and be as informed about your profession as possible. If you can get certificates, this is the project management certificates, these are the accounting certificates. Please make sure you further your career as much as possible, and you invest in yourself with all the information. The good thing is that these days the information is just at the tip of our hands. And last but not least, always please consider HR World. We don't only work within the borders of Tanzania, we work across Tanzania. We are very happy to advise anybody who needs any advice in terms of their CV, even before they go into an interview. Always please drop us an email, always give us a call. We'll be more than glad to help. Thank you to all the amazing ladies on this call. I've personally learned a lot. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Angel. You can share your contact information with Annabelle, our very able secretary. She will make sure that the information gets disseminated to all attendees. Diana Kato from Uganda, let's hear your final words, final thoughts.
Thank you, Angela. Well, my final thoughts are very, very clear. It's about being driven and remaining resilient. Brand yourself with a very clear competitive advantage in whatever you're doing. And how do we build this? I love how Atom mentioned about career diversification. I've met a number of women, young lawyers, who have been doing a lot of clerical work for so many firms. One of them asked me a question and said, Diana, I'm really fed up with working as a clerical officer, and I don't see where my career is headed. What can I do? My advice to them is to seek additional skills and diversify as fast as possible. There's so many opportunities that can be done throughout this whole time. However, while you are taking, whether through career advancement or career exhaustion, you need to find yourself and best bet to treat and serve what your best interests are. Sometimes it's just careers that take us away or take.
Oh, I don't know what happened to Diana. As we wait for her to get back on the call, hopefully, let's have the final words from our keynote speaker, Ms. Tabitha Sawio Griffith from Kenya. Tabitha?
Thanks, Angela. I'm really hoping that my internet again behaves and those bad spirits don't come back. I wrote in the chat section, my last comment would actually be the same words that women are resilient because we have been tried, we have been tested, we have gone through the ring of fire. And I really truly believe that whatever comes our way, we can be able to do it. So all the best to the young lawyers on this call.
Thank you very much to our panelists and to our participants. Diana, I can see you're back. Are you able to complete your thought?
Yes, so just my last remark was that all of us are going to find a trade-off between our careers as well as family. And as women, the priority should always be what your interest is. Otherwise, people have ended up into spaces or times where they feel that they cheated themselves. So have a clear trade-off point and a clear decision or goal into marking off on that thread between either work or career to succeed in either one of them. Thank you very much. And those were my closing remarks. Whether career advancement or career exhaustion, either one of them, make the right choice and choose your interests best. Thank you very much.
To all our panelists and our attendees, we have come to the end of this webinar. We, as the Women East African Law Society Women Lawyers Committee, we have a webinar every third Thursday of the month. You can diarize that. We tackle different topics and we welcome you to all our sessions. So with that, we have come to the end of our webinar for today. Please keep safe. COVID is real. Keep safe. Wear your mask, whether there are restrictions or not. It's all about personal initiative. That's the only way we can contain this virus, even as we are getting used to the new normal, even as we are getting used to all these innovations. Let us keep safe. So have a good evening, everyone. Until next time, it's goodbye from us at the East African Law Society Women Law Committee and the entire East African Law Society. Thank you.